What's going on YouTube? Dirty Harry back here with a new video. Now I will be reviewing the TNA Impact episode that was live in Chicago, Illinois, March 14th, 2013. I will not talk about things I do not really think anyone cares about. But the first thing I will talk about is the Chicago crowd, which was what you expect the Chicago crowd to be. This week's Impact, TNA felt big time. They felt big time and they looked big time. This whole show, and it didn't have an indie feel. TNA felt like a big show this week. Like they looked like big time players this week. This Impact was one of the best wrestling shows I have seen in the last 2, maybe 3 years. And I know some of you guys are gonna be, well, no, motherfucker, don't even say that bullshit. Just because CM Punk comes on Raw, cuts a good promo for 10 minutes, does not take away from the fact that you got to sit through a whole nother hour of shit you don't want to see, of Santino and all this other bullshit, or the Muppets, or you got 2 more hours in some cases, or in the case of Raw, you got close to 3 hours you have to sit through to watch CM Punk come on your screen again to entertain you. Terrible TV is terrible TV. 10 minutes of good TV in a 3-hour show does not constitute to a good show. It constitutes to 10 minutes of good TV in a bad show. Okay? This TNA show was good from start to finish. Link in the description box. Watch the show if you don't believe me. TNA felt big time. It didn't feel or look like an indie company that just had a little bit of extra money. They felt big time. And it is a feel I have not felt since I watched the old SmackDown shows in the late 90s. It was a great show. My minor complaints in this video don't mean shit in the long run. I just wanted to start that out because there were a bunch of you talk to people who went to the show and they were literally WWE fans who were there just to dog TNA. I get TNA probably doesn't give a fuck. They made money off the show, off these guys who went and paid, their hard-earned money just to get to a show and generate negativity into it. Come to the show and enjoy it, assholes. Now, anyway, getting off them. On to the show. Sorry about that. Just had to blurb that, y'all. I'm not gonna go into the opening segment. Bully Ray basically came out and repeated the same thing he said at Lockdown. It was still a good promo, still a good segment. Moving on. First match was the Knockouts match. Gail and Tara versus Mickey and Velvet. Now, Mickey James in the wrestling ring is good for any wrestling fan. It was great to see Mickey back. She was solid in the ring. Every knockout was solid in the ring. Velvet had her, bad spots, going to the wrong corner. Still looked a little awkward in the ring, but I personally saw a little bit of improvement. I saw some improvement in her during this match. So I'm not going to complain. It wasn't a downgrade. Velvet actually kind of upgraded herself this week, and it just showed for me. And I'm the ultimate Velvet basher, but you can't watch this match. Watch her match last week and then watch this week's match, and you can't tell me she hasn't improved a little bit. She's improved a bit. My only complaint for this match is aimed at Tara. Tara came out this week, and it's like after 5, 6, 7 years of saying she's from California, she wants to tell the whole world and reveal that she has secretly been from Chicago all along. Now, this may or may not apply to some of you fans, but I am from Chicago. So it meant like, what? You're from Chicago? And it's like, well, if you're from Chicago, me bashing you doesn't change the fact that you're from there. But all your career, I've been conned into believing that you're from, San Bernardino, California, if I'm not mistaken. I checked the TNA website. They don't want to tell me where you're from. And in some cases, you go like, monster characters like Abyss or Kane or the old Undertaker. I'm from Death Valley. I'm from Parts Unknown or some shit. I understand, but you're not a monster character, Tara. What was so wrong with telling us you were from Chicago all those years ago? Like, you told us this week, the crowd popped for you, cool. Next week, where are you going to be from? Are you going to be from California again next week? Or are they going to tell us you're from Chicago next week? What about next month? Are you going to be from Chicago then? You know, that's why Cole Cabana and CM Punk get so many strikes from the city, because their whole careers, they have never said they were from anywhere else. They have always been Chicago, always. Now, that's all I'm going to say about that. It was a solid match, no complaints. The Gell and Taryn portion of the match was great. I like this match 100%. Nothing bad to say about it. Velvet going to the wrong corner was more of a funny thing for me, to be honest. I'm not gonna bash her for it. Everyone makes mistakes, but the thing is, it's not like she went to the wrong corner and tagged Gell in. She went to the other corner and was like, oh shit, I'm in the wrong corner, and just went to the other corner. She's not the first person to go to the wrong corner during the tag team match, y'all. Don't bash her for it. I'm not bashing her for it, and I'm not even a fan of her, but people make small mistakes. Anyway, next big portion of the show, AJ Styles return. AJ Styles came out, took out Kazarian, and then took out James Storm before leaving the ring. He came out saving James Storm, and then knocked the fuck out of James Storm, and then just left the ring. So what we're getting is an anti-hero AJ Styles. I'm real hype about that. I can't wait to see where they go with this. Was this return epic? No, it wasn't epic. You know, and that's just because the measuring stick for epic returns for me personally has always been Triple H's 2002 return. That was epic. That felt epic. That felt like a huge deal. Or when Sting came back, to take on the NWO back in the day. Those returns felt epic. Styles came out, he made the save, and then he just said, fuck the good guys too. And then just kind of just went off and did his own thing. You know, it wasn't a bad return, but it wasn't epic like I thought it was gonna be. But it played into his character and it did what it was supposed to do. The Joseph Park and Matt Morgan thing, I liked it a lot. It was a well done segment. Everyone likes Joseph Park. I don't think there's a single person, living breathing person, that hates this guy. I know there's Abyss fans who want the monster back, but at this point, there's no point bringing Abyss back. You've already got Bobby Roode, Austin Aries. You got all these guys in the main event, scenario. Abyss coming back, it might really just throw the show off balance. Because if Abyss comes back, you're gonna have Abyss fans. Well, why isn't Abyss in the main event? Why isn't Abyss this? Why isn't he that? Him playing Joseph Park right now is good for the overall company. Um, I'm really looking forward to the Matt Morgan and Joseph Park match. Going into next week's Impact, it's the one thing I'm looking forward to more than anything. We get to see if TNA is gonna pull the trigger with Matt Morgan finally, or if Joseph Park's gonna rule. TNA, just pull the trigger with Matt Morgan. Just do it. I don't care if he's taking on aces and eights with one hand tied behind his back one week. I'd really love to see Matt Morgan in the main event more. Um, Now we go to the aces and eights portion of the show, which was very well done. Every time we get a TNA show where the aces and eights are backstage more than they are inside a wrestling ring, it's good. Because backstage is their environment. It's where they thrive. It's where they live. You know, because they're outlaws. Backstage has that outlaw vibe to it, while the ring, it's symbolic of rules and structure. They spent the whole night basically in the back of their clubhouse drinking beer, calling Hulk Hogan a bitch, and beating down the roster. Crank calling Brooke Hogan, which was all good segments to entertain me. Um, and then at the end, they interrupt the Austin Aries and Sting match. Sting was good in this match. Old age didn't slow him down, or he was just like, fuck it, it's Chicago, YOLO, and did his thing. But Aces and Eights end up, they take out Austin Aries and Sting. Hogan comes out after Bully Ray calls him a bitch on the mic a million times. Hogan calls out the TNA Army, which is all the main eventers, the Samoa Joes, the Kurt Angles. They come out there, they get owned by the Aces and Eights. Bully comes out, walks up the ramp to Hogan, and keeps calling him a bitch, and then the show goes off the air. I'm personally, I'm glad that they didn't just close it with they're brawling in the ring. It's TNA versus Aces and Eights, and then it just goes off the air. The Aces and Eights. Final thoughts on them after this week. It's funny how last week they reminded me of the Charlotte Bobcats. But this week, they remind me more of the Philadelphia 76ers back when they had Iverson, or Cleveland back when they had LeBron. You know, they get the one big star, and all of a sudden they look like they might be something. Also, the Aces and Eights took over the TNA website during the show, which I found funny. You know, we've seen this done already. You know, the NWO did it back in the day, but TNA was damned if they did it and damned if they didn't do it. You know, if they didn't do it, there'd be someone whining, "Oh, they should do this," you know. But it doesn't hurt the Aces and Eights to do it. If anything, it helps them. You know, Aces and Eights also, in retrospect, I love the new theme music they have. They basically took the old instrumental they had and added vocals to it. I love that theme song. I actually want to hear it now. I'm looking for that theme song. Y'all let me know if y'all find it. I'm looking for that shit. Now, leaving this show, there's a bunch of fans talking about, oh my god, we don't want to see Bully Ray versus Hogan in the title match. But me personally, I'm okay with it as long as it is done properly. You know, there are a few rules, TNA, that you need to follow if you want to do this right. Rule number one, do not put it on pay-per-view. Do not put this match on pay-per-view. You know, y'all might just do it any fucking way just to make a quick buck. But any fan with any sense of logic knows Hogan is not going to be Bully Ray for the title. He is not going to beat anyone for a title at this point. And if you give the title to Hogan, half of the TNA fan base is just going to walk out and just give up, you know. Number two, do not make this match go on forever. Don't give us a 30-minute Bully Ray Hogan match. No one wants to see it that long, you know. Hogan needs to go in there, hit a few of his signature moves, cup his hand to his ear, and then get the living shit kicked out of him. You know, we know he got bad knees, you know, but, you know, whatever, you know. Number three, blood. Someone needs to bleed in this match. I mean bleed. Number four, closer. Close the show in a very good way. I mean a very good way. Don't close the show with Hogan's been destroyed. No, motherfucker, don't close it like that. You need to close this show. The show you guys do this match on, you have to really close this show and make the next week watchable. Um, damn. Now looking back in retrospect, this week's Impact was a very good show. I enjoyed it more than I enjoyed the Lockdown pay-per-view. You know, best show, best wrestling show, best overall wrestling show. You know, WWE has had its moments where they have 10 minutes of fame, primarily CM Punk promos, or The Rock comeback for, you know, his Santa Claus schedule. But the whole show was good. Not 10 minutes of it, but 2 hours of it was good. I'm looking forward to the Matt Morgan and Joseph Park match next week. I'm interested in Aces and Eights again. You know, that stable's been dead for the last 3 months to me, but I'm actually interested in them again. Thank you, TNA, for a good show. You guys came out to Chicago guns blazing, and you knocked it out the park. Bully Ray, we fucking love you. Stay on the roster. We love you, Bully Ray. You're making this show good. And also, everybody else noticed that fat chick in the front row with the Jeff Hardy gear. I don't know how she squeezed herself into that bodysuit, but I was like, what? The whole night, you know, I would have loved for Hardy to come out there just to see her reaction to it. Hardy did come out there, but he got his ass whipped 2 seconds later, so it probably wasn't that good of a day for her after that. Good show, Chicago. You know, they probably, you know, loved the hell out this show before they went and shot the shit out of each other an hour later, you know. Y'all know the city.